Hey everyone, this is Hydra Hut, and kind of going to do a review. Also, just going to show you what I got for New Comic Book Day. It's a pretty small haul, and uh, and ironically enough, I don't really want the new comics that I got. So, Curse of Brimstone, I was super excited for this comic, and I enjoyed the first one, but I just don't like the writer. Jordan is a douchebag, just a neck bearded piece of shit douchebag, and I'm not interested in fucking supporting him. So I actually meant to take this off my poll list, but I too am a douchebag, and I forgot. So instead of putting it off on my LCS, I went ahead and paid for it anyway. Not gonna read it. Probably just donate it. I don't know. If somebody wants it, feel free to hit me up. We can work something out to get it to you. Otherwise, I'll just give it away to like a kid or something. And then I also got Xerxes, the second one, Frank Miller's new comic. And I did a review on the first one, and I was not impressed in the slightest. And I wasn't planning on getting the second one. I don't know. It's just I was only getting one, and it wasn't something I really wanted, and there was really nothing else that really was calling to me. So it just wasn't a good day for buying, I guess, for me. But I went ahead and decided to give Frank a second shot, because while the first one was honestly a chore to read, I don't know. I'm willing to give it a shot. It's Frank. Also, I'm pretty sure that's a fly smashed on his helmet, and that shit's hilarious. So I'll read it. If I like it, I'll do a review. If I don't like it, I probably won't waste your guys' time. And then I also picked up this. This is just like it says, Age of Apocalypse, featuring the X-Men. The reason I got this, though, is because of this right here. As you can see, Yoshida, that's our boy CB Cebulski's old pen name. I actually used an AVI on Twitter that was a Graper done up like a samurai. It was going around as CB Shogunate, or I'm sorry, as a Shogunate Yoshida. But anyway, I'm not actually a big fan of CB Cebulski right now. He's making a lot of decisions I don't agree with. I don't think the thick boy in charge is as cool as everybody is accepting him to be. I think he's just another pawn and puppet. Because let's face it, Disney doesn't care about the Marvel intellectual properties. Disney only cares about putting more money into Disney's pocket. There's no money in comics right now because Marvel did such a good job at killing themselves. So all they're going to do is just milk all the intellectual properties. They're going to basically slow stroke everybody who's into the comics until they're either hate it, like I do. I almost never buy Marvel anymore because it's all freaking trash. Or there'll just be so few fans that when they do finally kill it, they can just turn and say, hey, nobody was buying it. And there won't be anybody there to argue the fact that they just weren't trying. But anyway, I got this because I wanted to see if the fat boy could write. I was told the artwork in these was going to be pretty fantastic. I don't know, though. I trust the guy who told me that. S.E. Tonks is his tag on Twitter. He's a legit dude and a really good artist. Oh, yeah, I like that. No, I'm digging that. That should be good. And it was 6 comics for $10. That's not really a great deal for something that old, but I don't care. I wasn't getting a lot. So we'll go ahead and let's check out some of the covers. We got this badgery looking Wolverine. I'm not entirely sure who this guy is. Ooh, I believe that's Emma. I said I was getting 6, but there's 7 comics in here. Did they give me 2 number 1s? I got 2 number 1s? Okay. That's cool. They must have done that on accident, but whatever. Yeah. I don't know what's going on with this. This is kind of a... That's the best cover you're going to give me for Magneto? Whatever. I'll stop looking at covers and muttering above the camera. Alright, so main reason I wanted to do this video is because I need to cover this heavy metal magazine. I tried doing one yesterday, which is Tuesday. But I'm really glad I watched it before showing it to you guys or putting it up on my channel, because it was just garbage. Ugh. I was disappointed and ashamed of myself. So I wanted to just redo it, because the reason I want to talk about this is the story SLAINE. It's written by Pat Mills. The art is by Simon Bisley. And it is absolutely fantastic. Bisley... So this heavy metal is January 1991. This is the same time Bisley was writing Lobo for DC. Personally, definitely my favorite runs of Lobo are with Bisley doing the art. It's fantastic, and it's just this epic freaking space odyssey of bounty hunters. It's great. But anyway, I did a what was the video on? I think it was one of the factory videos, maybe. Anyway, I was commenting on the art, reminded me of Bakshi. Got to talking to EpicTrilogy, who's somebody that follows the channel. Also has his own, but I don't believe he's started doing any videos yet. But anyway, we got to talking about artists from the 90s, and he mentioned SLAINE, which he saw in a heavy metal magazine, and it sounded great. So I was like really interested. So he went out and he dug out, I think his, and found out what it was. And then he looked it up on a website and found me an original copy of the January 1991 heavy metal mag. Look at that, $3.99. You get all that. It's a pretty solid deal. That's a good cover. I'm a fan. And so yeah, of course I bought this. So it doesn't have all of SLAINE. It only has, like, I think the first quarter, maybe the first half of the story. Takes up about 50 pages. And man, is it good. I looked around online, and you can get the full story in a hardback book. It's kind of expensive, but once you, I mean, this is a preview of the art. Once you really see the art, I think, I don't think the price is all that bad at all. Plus, if you're not familiar with Pat Mills, he's a very good writer. The SLAINE story is, I would say it's high fantasy. It's Celtic mythology. They basically took some Celtic lore, bent it around, twisted it around, and crafted out this SLAINE story. And they did a fantastic job. And if you're like most Americans, you're really not, you're not around Celtic lore and mythology nearly as much as you would think for all the Irish people here. Most of our stuff really is more English centric, Anglo-centric, I guess. And a lot of Germanic stuff as well. I don't know why the Germans would be pushing their culture on any place. Anyway, it's really nice because it seems fresh and new, even though it is a very, very age-old style story. And if you're not familiar with Celtic lore, then, I mean, all this stuff is very new to you. And if you are familiar with Celtic lore, they do a pretty good job. So, as far as the names of the gods, most of the Celtic stuff I've read about was Irish Celts. And basically, depending on what area they were from, determines how they pronounce and spell their gods' names. So there's a lot of variation in the spelling and names, but when they describe the god, it's very clear who it is, what their purpose is, and all that. And that's pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and I'll just cover this a little bit, start flipping through pages so you guys can see what it is. Definitely recommend checking this out. I mean, just look, this is your cover. Look at that. It's fantastic. This guy here is Uko. He's our storyteller, our narrator. He's basically reliving this tale of SLAINE and how SLAINE came to be who he is. And how he came to be who he is also the story of how the Lord Weird Slough Fag, or Slow Fag. That's this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and keep my finger here because he's got some genitals dangling. Oh, and as you'll notice, SLAINE is essentially a very nicely colored Lobo, and the artwork is just freaking real. Oh, I guess there's more nudity there. So, let's just change the page real quick. So, the Weird Slow Fag, the Lord Weird Slow Fag, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. He's essentially an old avatar of a god who was supposed to die after his 7-year reign, but he refused to die, essentially taking the god's place. He warped the real meaning and purpose of the god, so now everybody basically is worshiping incorrectly. And the story is really about how SLAINE restores the religious, well, so far, I mean, like I said, I've only read a quarter of it now because of this, but it's about how SLAINE is restoring the balance to their religion and their people and their hierarchy. And this story from the 90s is extremely gynocentric, much like a lot of pagan religions where they're very, very centered around females. This story about Celtic religion is very, very centered around females. Yet, amazingly, it's still filled with testosterone badassery. Which is one reason why I get so annoyed when experts on Twitter are talking about how far we've come in comics and how much farther we need to go. I guess as I'm saying that, there's this little dwarf drawing titties in the corner. But, just look at this freaking art. Marvel hasn't put anything out like this in ages. Well, not ages. I'd say probably a decade since they've had a quality artist working the full interior. And there's a lot of character building. The way they handle the character building for Uko is pretty good. You don't really, I mean, he's more of like a comedic relief throughout the story because of how serious the story is. But whenever he is in the presence or basically breaking the fourth wall of the story, that's when you really learn about the type of character he is. Look at this. Wouldn't this make a badass poster? Ugh. The art in this is just unreal. And there is a lot going on. But every panel is unique. Every panel has some sort of character or flair to it to where you're not bored reading it. Very, very, very expressive. I mean, look, it's just a whole bunch of face shots, but they're all immensely expressive face shots. The women are attractive. SLAINE is a beast. It's great. The monsters, check this out. Look at that. Look at that shot. Just highly, highly recommend this, guys. And again, if you're not familiar with Celtic religions, this is a nice way to kind of familiarize yourself with it and get yourself interested so that you go out and read a little bit about what may or may not be your actual history. And there's also, for as far as I could tell, in this quarter or half of a book I read, no real underlying political message. I mean, except for maybe leave pagans alone. But man, this artwork is fantastic. Can't say enough about it. And the story is long enough. I don't want to really just. Oh my god! I don't really want to get into it because it could ruin a lot of stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Sorry I haven't been putting up much content lately. I've just been really busy. I know it's not a good excuse. I'll be butter. And you guys should definitely check out SLAINE. That is SLAINE, the Horned God. It's by Pat Mills and Simon Bisley. And you will thank me if you buy it. Like I said, though, it's expensive. If you can't afford it, I get that. But keep your eye out at secondhand stores, any place where you might find a cheap book. If you come across this, it's your duty as a member of Hydra to buy it. Hail Hydra, baby.